What's going on, everybody? Sunkissed here, and in today's video we're going to be covering what armors are worth running in 2024 and beyond. The new raid system that's coming out looks like it's going to be very challenging, so we want to make sure we're running the best armors we have at our disposal. This video is going to include some stats as well as some opinions, so by no means is this an end-all be-all. You have to follow my advice. I've been playing the game for a little bit, and I lean on quality of life balanced with kind of stats as well, so that's going to be factored in here. With that being said, before we get into the video, let me know in the comments what's your favorite armor to run, both power armor and non-power armor, and at the end of the video let me know if I convince you to run something else. Alright, catch you at the end. All of the armors mentioned in this video will have links in the description with some more guides, and the videos should kind of show you more in detail how to get them, what mods to run and stuff like that. This video would just be extremely long if I went over all of that, so check the description. Before we get too far in the video, I just want to preface this by saying I know certain armors fill certain niches and roles, and some are kind of just more all-around armors. Again, this guide is kind of more based on opinion, backed up by stats a little bit, but we'll get a little bit further into that, in the video as we're talking about these armors. Also, I want to give a huge shout out to Nuka Knights. A lot of this information was gotten from, or was pulled from their website. They make great YouTube videos and they have a great website, so I highly recommend you go to their channel and visit their website. Those will both be linked in the description. There is 4 non-power armors that I want to highlight in today's video. That's going to be the Secret Service armor, the Civil Engineering armor, the Covert Scout armor, and the Thorn armor. Secret Service armor is going to be kind of your best all-arounder for resistances. Second to that in terms of resistances is going to be the Civil Engineering armor, but that does have a pretty good set bonus. The Covert Scout armor kind of, sounds like it is. It's great for being stealthy and for stealth builds. And Thorn armor is going to be more geared towards melee builds. It's a little more niche, but it's pretty cool armor. Starting off with Secret Service armor, looking at the resistances, we have 250 regular resistance, 220 energy, and 220 radiation. And just for fun, I kind of summed them all together just so we could look at all these armors in a different way, but that totals out to 690. There is no set bonus. This is not tradable, and the way you'd want to go about getting this is completing the Wastelanders quest line, then purchasing it for gold bullion from Vault 79 or Minerva, which is also the same way that you get the modifications. Legendary role recommendations: if you're bloodied, I would definitely recommend Unyielding, AP refresh, and weapon weight reduction, or Cavaliers or Sentinels. Now, if you're full health, I would still recommend those 2 stars, but also then Overeaters instead of Unyielding. If you're doing a melee build, you're definitely going to want +2 strength instead of AP refresh. Next up, we have the Covert Scout armor. As you can see, 160 regular resistance, 170 energy, and not much in the field of radiation resistance, radiation department, but 50 there, total of 380. This does have a stealth bonus. Based on its name, it definitely gives you quite a bit of stealth and additional stealth while you're sneaking. I don't think it's a set bonus necessarily. I think each piece of Covert Scout armor that you're wearing increases your stealth. And the plans for this can be gotten by doing daily ops. It's a random reward at the end of your daily op if you complete it within 8 minutes. So definitely make sure you're doing your daily ops every day. Now this one, you cannot learn the mods, or you can't learn the mods and have them be available at your workbench. You actually need to buy individual box mods from the Modus bunker. And it's going to be the same thing for the other scout armors as well as Thorn armor, because Thorn armor is based on the scout armor model. Kind of interesting, but that's one important thing to note. Now, the only difference for legendary roles that I would recommend for Covert Scout armor would be possibly changing out the 3rd star for harder to detect, only because then you could save yourself some other perk points by not running sneak in the agility tree. And then also, instead of running the I think it's the lightweight or ultra lightweight mod, there's a mod that increases your stealth, but I think there's something better you could run in its place if you just get harder to detect as your 3rd star. Moving over to Thorn Armor, this is the one that's definitely more niche, but as you can see, 160 regular resistance, 120 energy, and nothing in the radiation department, bringing the total to 280. This set bonus makes it harder to detect while sneaking, and makes melee targets and melee attackers take bleed damage. So that's pretty helpful with melee weapons. You can kind of run up, whack somebody, and run away, and then the bleed damage may take care of them the rest of the way. It's not tradable, and you're able to purchase this from Vault 79 or Minerva after you've completed the Wastelanders quest line. Another important thing to note would be that this requires Vault Steel to craft, which is purchased from the Rusty Pick. Box mods can't be purchased, or sorry, can't be learned, or there's no plans for them. Rather, kind of like the Covert Scout armor, you have to buy individual box mods for this at the Modus Bunker. Another thing to note, I could be wrong about this, and it may have changed with the new legendary crafting system, but I haven't really had a chance to check, so please let me know in the comments if I'm wrong about this. But Thorn Armor, you craft it into a legendary piece, and I don't believe it can be re-rolled from there. So this armor definitely takes the longest to put together a set that you want, as you need to spend legendary script to buy Vault Steel, and you need modules to, craft the armor. So it's pretty tedious to get what you want. But it is kind of cool armor. As far as legendary rolls, I would definitely recommend Overeaters and +2 strength, and either Sentinels or Cavaliers to increase your damage resistance. As you can see, there's not as much resistance for that sort of armor. Also, I definitely would pair this with damage resistance adding perk cards as well. Last and certainly not least is going to be the civil engineering armor, which is actually my pick and my recommendation to you to start running. Now, if you're just looking at it on the surface, 114 regular resistance, 287 energy resistance, and 181 radiation resistance, relatively balanced, but a little heavier on the energy resistance. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. But the total resistance is at 612. The set bonus, which I think is kind of what really makes this armor, is that weapons break 35% slower. The 10% chance to ignite melee attackers is kind of secondary, but the reason why that weapons break 35% slower is so nice is because it applies to all weapon types. This essentially replaces the need to run stable tools, or makeshift warrior or gunsmith. It's kind of an all-in-one, similar to how weapon weight reduction works for every weapon type, which is, essentially replaces a bunch of cards. So it's really nice. Now, in order to get this, you can either complete the Atlantic City quest line, or this is the only tradable armor in this list, actually. So if you know somebody that knows how to make these or has extra pieces, they can drop them for you, and then you could pick them up. Another fun thing to note is that this is actually the only normal armor that doesn't, or that you can trade with a jetpack. Another thing to note about this is that the mods are purchased from Giuseppe and the White Springs for stamps. You do learn the mods after you purchase them, but you have to get them for stamps. Circling back to the energy resistance, the reason I think this is pretty nice, currently the best way to get modules in the game is by farming encrypted, and pretty much all of those enemies have energy damage. So this having the highest energy resistance of the bunch is notable in my opinion. As far as legendary rolls, I'm going to recommend the same ones as Secret Service armor. Unyielding AP refresh, weapon weight reduction if you're bloodied, or possibly Overeaters. If you're full health, definitely go with Overeaters. If you're doing a melee build, get +2 strength in there, and also Cavaliers or Sentinels. Power armor. First thing I want to mention is that every power armor gives you 42% damage reduction, and so just know that it's all going to help you be a little bit tankier. But the armors that I want to highlight are going to be the T65, the Strangler Heart, and the Union. The T65 is going to be your tanky armor. It's the highest resistance armor in the game. The Strangler Heart is a little bit more of a niche slash specialized power armor, and Union is kind of like an all-arounder with a pretty good set bonus. So let's get into it. Looking at the resistances for the T65, starting with 565 normal resistance, 470 energy resistance, and 470 rad resistance, bringing the total to 1505, which is pretty high. There's no set bonus for this. It is not tradable. The way to get this would be from completing the Wastelanders quest line and then purchasing it from Vault 79 or Minerva. As I mentioned earlier, this is the highest resistance armor in the game. I think it would be a little OP in my opinion if it had a really good set bonus. I think its set bonus is that it's just really tanky. Now, for this, I feel like you might as well lean into the tankiness. So for legendary rolls, what I'm going to recommend is Overeaters with either +2 strength or +2 endurance to raise your health, or strength just for carry weight or for melee purposes. And then the third star, I would say you're going to want either Sentinels or Cavaliers or a mix of both to make yourself even more tanky. If you already have a bunch of resistance, why not make it even higher and just be unkillable? Moving over to the Strangler Heart power armor. This is a little more specialized, but it is kind of cool. So it is essentially ultra sight armor kind of wrapped in Strangler Heart vines. The resistances are 453 regular, 393 energy, 500 rad, and the total is 1346. Now, a full set of this adds acid damage to targets and nearby targets. So it's kind of it would kind of be what you'd want to do for doing the most damage possible with melee build in power armor. It is not tradable, and it is available from Minerva or in Vault 79, and this also requires Vault Steel to craft, which is purchased at the Rusty Pick. This uses Ultrasight mod plans, so if you learn mods for Ultrasight armor, you will know how to craft them for Strangler Heart power armor. Now, the only issue with that is that these only pretty much drop from the Scorchbeast Queen, and it can be bought, or it could be bought from players or player vendors. There are some Ultrasight mod plans, kind of like Calibrated Shocks, that are a little rare and they're hard to get. But I guess if you grind out some Scorchbeast Queens, you can get those for yourself. Legendary rolls for this, I would definitely spec this for melee. So I would go personally with Overeaters, +2 strength, and then either Cavaliers or Sentinels. A mix of them is good, or I would say committing more to Sentinels, because you can kind of just pull out like an auto axe and then just sit in place, be really tanky, and do a bunch of damage. All right, and moving on to my winner for the power armor category, and that is going to be Union power armor. The regular resistance is 489, 295 for energy resistance, 265 for radiation resistance. It's bringing that total to 1049. The set bonus, in my opinion, is what really makes this armor, and that is the poison resistance, which I don't believe any other power armor in the game has. And you also get an extra 75 carry weight, which in my opinion is great. I'm kind of a pack rat myself, so this is kind of like combat ready excavator armor. It is not tradable, and it is purchased from stamps from Giuseppe in the White Springs Refuge. Same with the mod plans. Those are also available to purchase for stamps from Giuseppe. Now, the reason I like this armor so much is the resistances are relatively high. Honestly, once you get past 450 damage resistance, like, it is significantly diminishing returns. Now, I'm not going to argue that T65 isn't more tanky. It definitely is. If you want to be a tank, T65 is going to be your armor. But Union armor is tanky enough to justify it's. I could justify running Union armor because it's got a great set bonus and it's tanky enough, especially if you have Overeaters, which is what I would recommend running on this. So for me, I kind of play into the carry weight, pack mule or pack rat side of this armor. So I personally like to run Overeaters, AP refresh, and AP refresh or +2 strength, because that also buffs your carry weight. But then also weapon weight reduction as the 3rd star, so you can really just carry a bunch of stuff in power armor. It's pretty nice. And the poison resistance, it's really convenient, especially for fighting like Mirelurk Queen, or you're fighting like Snallygasters. I think the most useful is when you have daily ops where the enemies drop poisonous clouds when they die. This power armor almost completely negates that. So that'll do it for the power armor and regular armor. That's everything that I'm reviewing today. Bring this in for a conclusion here. Obviously, some stuff works better than others at certain things. Like Thorn Armor being better at melee builds. T65 is definitely the tanky armor. Each armor kind of fills their own role in this list, and that's why the list is a little bit shorter. Maybe your favorite armor is missing from here. Apologies there, but these are my opinions, and yeah, at least coming from someone that likes to balance quality of life as well as survivability. Now, full disclosure, I think the T65 going forward, at least for raids, will be everyone's go-to armor, since they are very difficult. I'm on console, I haven't gotten to try one myself, but from everything I've heard and the videos that I've watched, it seems difficult. So T65 may be the go-to armor for raids, but I think everything outside of that, Union power armor is going to be the best for you. And if you're not running power armor, definitely run civil engineering armor. That 35% break slower is so nice, considering 2 of the best weapons in the game, that being the railway and the auto axe, both break very quickly. So that counters that, and then also saves you having to run those perks in your build, saving you perk points. So at the end of the day, the question you really got to ask yourself is, do you want to be tanky? Do you want to do more DPS? Or do you want to lean more to the quality of life side? Which, spoiler alert, my decisions for armor choices went for that. But let me know in the comments what you think of the video. I appreciate you making it this far. If you did, please leave me a like and hit that sub button. If you'd like to support the channel further, we do have memberships, and the Quantum tier actually gets access to videos early. So if that interests you, you can take a look at that. That being said, that will do it for this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.